This is Kevin Ben with Outside the Games. I'm here with a special guest with us. This is Alex Fuimaono. He is with Island Boy Camp and the Oregon Sevens. This is something that's really come up pretty, interesting in regards to details and what he's been able to build. It started with IBC, but it's grown over the time period of basically gathering student athletes, coaches, mentorship, building that. So we'd like to welcome Alex Fuimaono.
Man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This is our second time on the show, man. It's been a couple years, but thank you very much for having me and just having a platform to be able to talk about what we have going with the Oregon Sevens, man. It's turned into a monster, but it's a beautiful monster that we see a lot of good things coming from it. It was basically a conversation. We were traveling into Idaho to go play in 7-on-7 tournaments, and then our Oregon All-State game. We had to move this middle school All-Star game from Oregon all the way to wouldn't let us play it here. And I had coached and announced in the game. So, I was talking with all my coaches that we went with as we were working, and this came up, the idea. And it was just one of those, we're having a conversation, just sitting around, like trying to figure out things for our kids. And this came up. And so I just started pulling on my resources. Over the years, we've been able to work with a lot of amazing people, coaches from all over the state. So I just started getting all their numbers, everybody in media that's doing things with the kids right now for sports, just pretty much anybody who's anybody doing youth football or high school football around the state. And it went from this meeting with 100 coaches to we have 70 teams now and 1,000 kids. And we kick off this weekend. So we're very excited that we're able to provide something for all these kids in a time that's really bleak and really dark where people don't know what's going on or what's going to happen next with the sports. So I'm very excited.
Coach Fuimaono, we wanted to ask you, though, because there's been such a growth, when you talk about how you started IBC and just how it permeated into something different. You went with creating an aspect of a good foundation for student athletes on how they can be better, not only character off the field, but also too competition. And tell us how have you been able to do that? And really in an aspect of nonprofit, because there's a lot of things out there when 7-on-7s, $1,500, money being thrown back and forth. Tell me how creatively you've been able to kind of build not only IBC, but then again, starting with Oregon Sevens and going about that with a plethora of coaches and access to great fields and good locations.
Yeah, well, I've learned a lot along the way. We've been successful because we feel like we continue to do the right things, and as long as we're doing things right by the kids and their families, that's always going to be the foundation of us as a camp. We're big on that. I have a huge team of volunteers. None of us gets paid, and that's the beautiful thing. I don't have to question, anybody's motives or what they're wanting to do because we're all in it for the same thing. We want to get kids the best opportunities to go off to college, but times are rough, and it's really bad with COVID. It struck, and a lot of people had hurt them financially. So we've always been trying to find ways, and being a nonprofit, we've been blessed with a lot of different sponsors from all over, West Coast, back home in Hawaii and American Samoa. And because we're a big family, it's easy for us to reach out to other family members that are all over the world. And that's basically how we've been able to survive and continue to do the things. I mean, we've taken kids to Ohio to the Hall of Fame tournament and performed out there, just amazing. And we were able to take kids to Florida for the All-American game and be at the Pro Bowl. Just these opportunities that we continue to get, man, we're very blessed. We feel, and that it goes to our foundation, faith football family. And, we do everything that we can in our power to give kids just that opportunity, just to get the foot in the door. And then we go from there and see what happens.
And then you sprinkle a little bit of Kate Brown in there.
we were pretty blessed. She gave us Kate Brown because of our service, to the community and all the things that we've done over the years, coaching football and mentoring kids. We were given our own holiday. So every August 18th in the state of Oregon, it's IBC Friends and Family Appreciation Day. So we make sure we get together. We weren't able to do anything this year because of all the COVID stuff, but like last year, you came down. We do a free community barbecue. We feed everybody that shows up. We have a volleyball game where the high school, where all the kids have teams, and then the moms and aunts have teams, and then us dads and coaches, we're the defending champs every year, and we're still the champs. So still find ways to compete, but we love what we do, man, and it's a passion. It's just seeing these kids when that light bulb goes off, or when they actually do something, or being at a kid's letter of intent signing it. It's a blessing, and so we continue to grow. We continue to go and compete, and we find the cheapest ways to do things. Um, because that's just what we do, man. It's hard to put it on paper. Like, if somebody was to come and offer me millions of dollars for it, I'd tell them I don't know what you be buying, man. This is our essence. This is everything that we do. We do it out of love. So I can't even really put a price tag on it. And I love what we do, and I love the people I get to work with, not just the kids, but all the families and all my coaches, everybody everywhere. It's beautiful.
One thing we've gotten to see is outside the games, and we've been to a lot of events and the different things that you guys have put together, is that
Mhm.
we've seen that it's not just the poly America Samoa
Mhm.
athletes. It's a
Yeah.
there's a variety of
Yeah.
athletes that are from, say, Putnam, South Salem. I mean,
Yep.
you have, and I think that's very interesting, because a lot of times what happens is with ethnicity, right, comes into
Yeah.
play. You stick to your own, and you take care of your own. But
Yeah.
something that IBC's kind of grown of really appreciating other student athletes.
It's how our culture is. It's how we're raised. If you know any polys ever, anywhere you've crossed in your life, you've probably seen some really big ones and got scared initially. But when you get to know like any islanders, man, we're all about everybody. We bring everybody into the family. Um, you know, we call the kids, they're all our nephews and stuff, man. It's love. My kids, like, I have a big family, blood family, but my IBC family is the biggest family that I've ever seen. And we have kids, over 2,000 kids we've worked with in the last 10 years, and then add on however many from the 1,000 now. That's We just want to make sure that we continue to grow this and do it the right way, and let kids know that people love them and people want to do things for them just out of love. And that's the essence of everything that we do. It's family, and we bring everybody in. We break bread together. We take donations every week. We take in donations, and we contact families, make sure people are getting things. But there isn't a blueprint, for what we do. We see things that need to be done, and the way that we were raised by our parents and our grandparents and everything was, you see something that needs to be done, you do it. You see somebody that needs help, you help them, regardless of race, color, creed, or whatever they decide for their religion and stuff. That's just the right thing to do, and that's something that we really hammer in on. And it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Asian, islander, any of that. Like, if it's love, then it's all love, and that's the only way we can get things done, is with a little bit of love, man.
You look at families, and really the family unit in itself.
Mhm.
That's one thing outside the games talks about. Again, it's character. It's outside. It's outside of the field or the sport that they play. There is some of that, but there's also them as a person. And when you look at that aspect, the family unit in today is just there's a struggle there. And so,
Yeah.
tell me, Coach Fuimaono, what has it been for you guys as coaches that you've seen where maybe there was an instance where mentorship or in some way you were able to help one of the student athletes? Could you recall an incident that really came to be kind of that what they maybe be lacking at home, a father figure, a mother figure? Because college coaches have said this, when they go recruiting, they're getting some don't have mothers, some that only have fathers, some that only have parents. So
Yeah.
break that down for me.
Well, a good example, like, we have a spring league that we do, and it's 7-on-7 in flag football. And every year we have about 350 to 400 kids, and we do this with Anne-Marie Defoe over with Saxon Youth Football. Now, granted, we have 350 kids to 400, but when we go to send the emails out to everybody that is registered, you're looking at about 12 to 1,400 emails. So when you break that down, that's broken homes that a lot of kids are coming from. So mom, stepdad, dad, stepmom, and not all of them are on the same page. I have to be there sometimes to make sure that, this parent is coming to pick up this kid at the right time. But it's they're part of the family. No matter how dysfunctional people can be. I wasn't the greatest when I left home. I made a lot of mistakes, and I've been lucky that over the years that I've been blessed to come back and pay my penance through working and stewardship for everything that we do. So that's kind of where it is with me and my coaches is we see ourselves in a lot of these kids, especially the knucklehead ones. I absolutely love working with the knuckleheads. I can relate to them way more and be like, dude, I was just like you, and I was a hard head and I always thought I knew everything until I was finally on my own and I realized, man, I don't know nothing. I realized when I got to college, like, man, I was just a bull, man, and didn't think about things. So, it's taken me a long time to get to this place in my life, and I'm truly happy because of what we're doing and seeing that with kids that no matter their situation, they're being loved and they're being told because that's a very important thing for us. I'll tell kids that we coach, I love you, and you can tell by a kid's look in his eyes that they don't hear that. And it's not like we're trying to take the place of a parent, but if I'm going to invest that much time and energy and trying to do the right things for you, it's because I love you and because I love what we do. So,
Powerful,
yeah.
powerful. I tell you. So go into a little bit, Coach Fui, and I'm going to go Fui because we can call you Fui too. Well, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But but I think the thing is go into a little bit more about why Oregon Sevens. What was the reason behind it? What was the reason grabbing all these coaches? What was the reason on the locations of where you kind of strategically planted those? Tell us a little bit more about why that decision was made and to try to help the community as well.
Well, originally we were just going to do something here, in Salem, but man, there's so many kids out there that are struggling all over Oregon. And because we've grown so big, we have kids in just about every city in the state now. Even kids have kids that are out of state, excuse me. But it became apparent that we're all like, man, if we put something together, what about our family and friends in the Dalles? What about our family and friends out in Tillamook and Siuslaw, Medford, Eugene? I mean, you get all this attention to the Valley and to Portland that you forget about the other places in the state of Oregon, and there's talent everywhere. And there's kids everywhere that need something. So luckily, like I said, we've been blessed to work with all these coaches from all over. From the Nike Coach of the Year clinic, I was given an opportunity to speak, and I made a lot of connections there. So I literally went through my phone, and I have like 1,000 contacts, and just started writing down everybody that I could think of. Man, me, my wife, all my coaches, we all just started putting our heads together and be like, let's get everybody that we know. Let's get them all together and kind of give them this mission that we're on. We're going to chase this dream of doing something big, and including the whole state. We made sure that we looked at places that were okay to do flag football because this is what we have to do. We wanted to do regular sevens, but we can't under the guise of the governor in phase 2 counties. You can play flag football. So like, okay, so let's put flags on our 7-on-7 teams and let's contact all these places that are in phase 2 and be like, can you get a field? Can you get something worked out? We can help, whatever it is that we can do. And then it worked itself out on this little map. People were calling back saying, hey, we'll take it. We got the okay. We're not involved with this place, but they said that we can use the field. So that's how we've been able to secure our fields only in places where we can have flag football. So that's how we were able to go. Like this weekend we're in Salem. Next weekend we're in Monmouth Independence. The weekend after that we're in Tillamook. Then we go to Hermiston. Then we go down to Eugene, Medford, and we finish with our state championship in Springfield. But that's all through connections with people. And literally, the OSAA called us up and been like, hey, we heard that you guys are doing this. Brad Garrett, really good conversation with him. So he's all like, so let me just give you my ideas and my information and just make sure you guys are following it. And we want to support you guys in any way. It's like, perfect. So we just took, whatever the rules were, we want to make sure that we want to follow them. Like, I don't want to get in trouble for anything. And I don't want to put anybody in a position where they're going to get in trouble. So getting all the rules and regulations together, which was a beautiful job done by my wife, Tessa, man. She's a stickler for the rules anyway. So it was easy to give it to her, be like, break this down, and then help me while I focus on the football stuff. You focus on the admin stuff with your team. And my wife has a good team as well, where they're they're the ones that's making everything succinct. Just really, what we can do, where we can be, how many people follow these COVID guidelines, follow our group number guidelines, everything, check-ins, all of that. So I can focus on football, and then there's another crew that focuses on all the extra stuff.
What the interesting piece of this is that when you talk about, and we'll touch on COVID a little bit, COVID has just changed everything what we used to think is normal. And,
Hmm.
and you look at COVID now, and I mean, you're seeing, okay, so everything from, and we got to talk to some college programs about this, and we'll just put in the Pac-12 itself, not being able to play. And a lot of people are like, oh, we're itching to play. These college players are. But the thing is, though, anything Midwest and then out east or southeast, they're playing football. And what's really hard is places like Washington, California, Oregon, these are the kind of the states that are kind of in limbo. And you're having a lot of times these student athletes march on the Capitol up in Washington, good old SAW, that organization, and then they're putting on their COVID set. They're putting their own COVID-7 teams together, balling out, doing things.
Yeah.
Fui, I want you to touch on something though. There's this fine line of balance that a student athlete must follow. So there's this thing of, you have COVID, you have the phases, but when you're looking to march on the Capitol and you know that you want to play because you see others play, of course, you know that, but there's also some responsibility in following those phases. So that way that can support the reason why you're doing the demonstration.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
It absolutely, it's tough, and at first a lot of people didn't want to do the face coverings, but I'm at the point where if we have to wear face coverings every day while we're out there practicing and doing all that, if that gets us on the field, then we got to do what we got to do. We have a responsibility to our kids and our families and our communities, do the right things, whether we agree with them or not. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't, and I've had people that have tried to fight me on where I was like, listen, man, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, and I absolutely don't want to have somebody come in and take this away, because there's so much excitement, for the Oregon Sevens and all of the people that are in it and helping and involved. I would hate for all of that to go away. So
And I mean, that
everybody,
frustration from Oregon football. No joke. I was just talking to a coach at Grant. He was basically telling me we want to play. And so there's no question that Washington wants to play, California wants to play, Oregon wants to play. But unfortunately, we have to follow these guidelines. So then that way it can be seen that, hey, you're following them. There's no positive COVIDs. You're seeing the curve slide down. Now we some aspect of normalcy. Obviously, if you're sick and not feeling good,
then you shouldn't be there.
right?
Yeah. It's tough because I was also told that we could only have teams from here. So it ended up working up anyways. I had to turn away all the Washington teams that wanted to play in this, all the Idaho teams, and I don't want to be that guy, but I don't, it put me in a tough position. I was like, listen, I was told it has to be kids from here, has to be coaches from Oregon, that they're not letting a lot of outside states come out, to the games and the tournaments in other places as well, because they're afraid of spreading. So, then that's why it made it easy just to be all right. So that's how the name came about. It's like, all right, it's 7-on-7 for the Oregon players. So Oregon Sevens.
So let
Is
it
that?
be Oregon, Washington. Fui loves you. So
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I learned a lot from the Washington group. June Maliatufa is up there in Washington. Tracy Ford, Reggie Jones. These are all guys that, man, I follow what they do. I'm in that Washington coaches page where they share everything. I asked permission for them to create the Oregon one, so we created an Oregon page just for all the youth coaches and any coaches, so we can share information, share stuff about tournaments when things start opening up. But that way, we have like everybody can be on the same page, because there's not a big level of respect for Oregon football youth and high school outside of Oregon. Like, when you go to other states, we're not talked about, as being these powerhouses. Washington, yeah, you'll see. Everybody knows who Eastside Catholic is. So, I think it's a responsibility that we have with all of our coaches to work together. And that's been a problem, is a lot of people here haven't wanted to work together. Everybody wants to cut a piece of a rug and say it's theirs, or that these players belong to them, without seeing the big pictures. Like, man, there's ways that we can work together and collaborate and make everybody competitive, give everybody a shot to make some noise and just make the whole state of Oregon better, man. There's talent. I mean, you get a Darius Clemens go from here to Washington, and now he's the top, if not arguably the top wide receiver in the nation. So there's talent here. There's a lot of kids, but they're just not getting opportunities to be seen.
I think the thing is, though, is that mentality, like you said, cut the rug and hey, it's mine.
Yeah.
Where you find it that if more organizations understood that, yes, you have your individual piece, but
Mhm.
the bigger picture that it's the map of the
Yep.
state of Washington or the state of Oregon. Um, Now, I would speak about California and Texas, but those are big states,
It's a whole different. We're not on that level yet, man. Let's.
No, not at all. But again, there's something to be said about the aspect of Tillamook, Banks, Seaside, Lincoln,
Yeah.
those coastal towns that be clear with you.
Yeah.
See recruiting over there.
Mhm.
So I think the thing is that when you look at just and it could be there's talent. There's a level of talent everywhere. It's a matter of how the talent's graded, what tools are being used, all these other things measured.
Exposure too. Yeah. Not a lot of people get exposure. I mean, you look, there's that big database right there in Southern Oregon, Medford area, but they don't get a lot of love down there. Not a lot of people go down there, but I've seen some talent come out of Southern Oregon that'll blow your mind. And I've been blessed. We have some kids that come all the way up from Grants Pass. I mean, we have kids that play for us that live in Ontario and come out here. It's they don't have the opportunities there in their town, so they'll take the couple hours to come to a practice in the middle of the week. So, and I feel bad putting him in that situation. So we travel now. So when we want to hold camps, and we do free camps everywhere, we'll go to Medford, we'll go out Eastern Oregon, just wherever we can take the camp. Be like, let's go. Let's go and try to help these kids because man, we find these diamonds and stuff in the rough and in so many places. It's like, dang. And a lot of those kids in those smaller towns, the work ethic is even greater because they don't, they're hungry because they're not getting the exposure. And, a lot of those kids, especially the ones that work on the farms, man, they're very dialed into what they do, out there and all about work for their family. So it's work, 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 and not realize, man, kids over here that are taking, they're messing up and not realizing they're losing their opportunities because they're spending more time on their video games and not out there putting in the work.
Very,
So,
very true. I mean, I tell you, if you're just joining us, we have here Alex Fuimaono with us, with Oregon Sevens and IBC camp. Tell you, Alex, what has been created in with regards to these Oregon Sevens? Are you wanting to build upon this? I mean, so this is just kind of the beginning of this Oregon Sevens and what you're starting this year, but you're hoping that this can be something of regularity to where there's growth, and not only growth, but also the diamonds in the rough, right? The ones that nobody's seen, but they get that opportunity to have a chance at media attention or the fact of exposure. That is something to be said for that, isn't it?
it is, and honestly, when I first started talking about it, we were all like, it's just for this fall. But working with everybody that we've been working with these 70 different teams from all over the state, it's like, man, how do you not keep this going? How do you not grow it to where everybody has an opportunity? Because even with the 70 kids or 70 teams that we have, I guarantee you there's amazing athletes, student athletes that aren't involved because they just don't know about it or it hasn't come out their way, it hasn't been presented to them. So my hope now, things change, goals change and stuff. My goal now is to get as many kids involved as possible, as many kids and as many coaches, because it's about the coaches and that community too. This is an opportunity for them, because a lot of high school coaches are involved, and some of them can't really coach their teams, so they're actually going down to the youth levels now, and they're coaching the youth teams while the youth teams are going up. The youth coaches are coaching the high school players, so it's just building this community, if it isn't already there, but kind of getting everybody involved again. And it's kind of in that incipient stage where it's beautiful, it's starting to blossom, and you're seeing that what can come out of it, and just the idea of collaboration, that's a big theme for me, man. Just collaborating with people and be like, hey. And I'm the type, I put it in my emails. I sent a ton of emails out with this stuff, and very lengthy emails.
I know. All right.
But it's about, if you have an idea that you think can improve things, then let's do it. That's the kind of minds that we have. I'm like that with all my coaches too. I tell all my coaches I don't really coach anymore. I spend more time in the admin level of everything. So I tell my coaches, if you have an idea that will make things better for us, bring it. I'll introduce it. We'll do it. We have board meetings all the time where, I want to be able to give my generals and be like, man, do your thing. And that's that trust that I hope to have with everybody else. And we're helping other programs out now, other 7-on-7 and tackle programs. We're kind of helping them get off the ground and give ideas on how to build, their structure and their culture in order to sustain any kind of success and stuff. So culture is a big thing, and we've been pretty blessed that we're really intact with our Polynesian culture. So we infuse everything that we do with that, and that's it's been a key to our success. And hopefully we continue to grow and go with it.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: I think people underestimate brainstorming, and they underestimate the fact of strategic planning.
Yeah.
Not so much if that's financial, economics, whatever, people, races, whatever that it is. But I want to touch on outside the games. We're outside the games. Talk a little bit about outside of the games in regards to the academics. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So academics is something that we really talk about. When we interview a student athlete, we don't leave the GPA out. It's there.
Yep.
What's interesting about COVID is the fact that these are online classes that these kids, student athletes, are attending. They can't go to school yet, whereas others, Midwest, and like I said before, these others are able to go to school, be able to have games, Friday night lights, everything. But tell me academically what you are infusing into your Oregon Sevens and with your organization. How important are those academics?
It's very important. It's everything, because it doesn't matter. I tell kids all the time from the first day I started coaching. I know for a fact that football for everybody ends at some point. What do you have for a backup plan? I unfortunately didn't have a backup plan. I thought it was all football and I was going straight to the NFL and I was going to buy me a big old house and have some nice cars and stuff. And, life happened and my dream didn't come true and I didn't have anything to fall back on. So, I threw myself into my work. Me and my brothers, we did our music. But once we started getting into coaching, it was like, listen, man, you got to have a backup plan and you got to make sure that you're getting stuff taken care of in the classroom. Most parents and stuff, most families, both mom and dad work. But even though both mom and dad work, not all of them can afford to put you through school. I have a great job and I've been with my job for 23 years. My wife is a teacher and we have 6 kids. They already know we can't put you guys all through college. So go get that scholarship, whatever it is. Find something that you love and go chase that. It's all about finding that passion and being creative and if it doesn't happen in the classroom, it won't matter anyways. My wife's a teacher, so our kids here, my kids, they get great grades. They have no choice because they know they got to answer to mom. Everybody got to answer to mom. So, we tell kids all the time, like if you truly want to, chase your dream, you want to get to the next level after high school, you got to get A's and B's, and that's it. Those give you that opportunity to go get that degree because that way you have something to fall back on when football's done.
I
And
mean,
nobody knows.
right. I mean, well, let's be clear about that. I want to jump in on that, though, is the fact that you start at an early age to tell them or to let them know how they need to approach school. Because a lot of times, we've seen it, outside the game, we've seen it many times, player of the year, state champion, 2.2.
Yeah.
And they get a look at a college, and there's an answer for you. Great to meet you. Nice to meet you. We like your film, but what's your GPA? We'll be in touch. Take care. They don't understand that is a reality. And when you get past that, like you were saying, you were given an experience about yourself, is that you're kind of in that situation where, oh, I have a plan. I think it's going to be this, but there's a shock value.
There is.
Your way. And sometimes that makes a person almost like, when during an earthquake, a person just all still, they don't know
Yep.
what to
Yeah. It's that shock, man, when you realize, man, how real the world is. And, if you don't prepare for it, that's that old saying, man, failing to prepare is preparing to fail, man. And we teach our kids that too. So we tell them, man, dude, if this is your dream, if you truly love this, then you got to get as much out of it as it's going to get out of you. So if you can get your college paid for, your degree paid for, then by the time you have to retire, which we all know, football, man, 100% retirement rate. Nobody gets to go out without something wrong with them, man. I still, when it's cold outside, my shoulder and my knee give out on its own, or just in a lot of pain, and that's just from years of the game. And I didn't get out of it what I should have, because I just thought that I had it all figured out, and I didn't want to take help from people or take advice from people, because I kind of approached it like I did on the football field. I figured if I just, man, beat everything up, I'm gonna win each rep. And I know, the long game is where it's at. And it's hard, because especially right now, kids want to go and do things. Everybody does. They want to go to these parties or be on these things. But man, if you're willing to make that sacrifice to really hone in on your grades and do what you need to do, man, life gets better. You set yourself up for the future.
Well, and we know this, and this is something that I've heard from different coaches, different people, and in regards to any student athlete. Here's one for you: your sport doesn't love you; you love your sport,
Yeah.
and it can happen at any time, injury, what have you. And what do you have? And
Yeah.
so that's why it's so important to build the person, because that's a thing that's continual.
Yeah.
When the body breaks down, you can still talk, you can still move, you can still do some things. So that's the thing to think about for these student athletes. And that's a little bit of shock value as well, of how real it is in with regards to life. Because again, 4 years of high school go, and
Yep.
you know it, you're in college. Before you know it, you have decisions to make.
Yeah. Before you know it, you got kids and a mortgage. Better figure it out, because they'll take it all away, man. I'm very blessed that I have a good system. I have a good structure with my wife and our kids, and that's just, I tell kids all the time, man. You do the right things, man, and it takes care of itself. So
Well,
just plan.
yeah. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, Alex Fuimaono.
Nice.
So I tell you, it was a pleasure to have you on our show, because we checked in with you a while back, but I think it was great to kind of talk to you a little bit down the road as
Yeah.
things developed. Tell people with regards to Oregon Sevens, what are they looking for? Where can they find you? How is that going to be done?
Oh man, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Island Boy Camp, IBC. You'll find everything on the Oregon Sevens there. You can look on our website. We'll post everything there, islandboycamp.org. And then I try to answer every message myself personally, man. I don't have an assistant or anything. But I get a ton in, especially regarding football. We're always available to help with camps and stuff. We do a lot of free camps, so we try to get as much done within the rules as possible. So I'll let people know when we're moving around the state and doing more, but we're very accessible, and we take everybody. No matter how much your mom and dad make, or where you're from, or what your beliefs are, man. If you're somebody that we feel we can add to the family and make our family better, then we will.
Well said. Well said. Well, I tell you, it's been a pleasure to have you on our show again. We are, all of us at Outside the Games, appreciate what you're doing in the community, but also too what you're doing with the student athlete. That means everything to us, and I'm sure to you as well, and the coaches and your organization. So we thank you for that. State of Oregon loves you as well, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for having me, man. One love, brother. Always good to see you. We'll have to catch up and get some barbecue soon, man.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you very much.
All right, brother. Have a great night.